Now in this lecture we are going to discuss why this book is written, why this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur chose to write this book. Now of course there are three main reasons why he chose to write this book. Of course you see, one point you have to keep in mind, these people, these are perfectly liberated souls and they don't want to waste their time. Rather they invest their time in their bhajan and preaching. So when these people are writing, every word and every second of their every second what they invest, it counts. They are not just writing to fill the gaps in their life or to engage themselves or make them busy or make themselves pure. That's not the idea. Madhvacharya, he you see his commentaries, Madhvacharya's commentaries. It's just his commentaries are unique. The verse is this much big, and when he writes a commentary on this big verse, you expect at least this much commentary. Am I right? Or more than that. But and this much verse, the commentary is just one line or two words. That's all. Brief, to the point. Don't waste time and words and energy. So when Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is choosing to write a book, I mean, he could have said, just read Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that's all, finish. But he chose to write. Why? There are three primary reasons. The first reason was, of course, to summarize that book. People were finding it difficult to read such a voluminous book, and I mean to say they could have read it, but then to extract the essence from that's another issue. You can read Bhagavad Gita, but to extract the essence of Bhagavad Gita, many people read Bhagavad Gita, and when we ask them, okay, can you speak 5 minutes on that book, what did you understand, what's the essence, they are unable to speak. Many people hear so many lectures, and then we ask, okay, what was the essence of those lectures? Dumbfounded. What I can't speak. So that's why, to summarize the book and to extract the essence, that was the idea. That was the first reason why he chose to write this book. People were becoming pretty dumb as Kali Yuga advanced. Sanskrit, people were interested back then, 500 years back, but then what about the layman? What about the ordinary man? For him, you require easy Sanskrit. Rupa Goswami's Sanskrit, that's difficult. If you read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that's difficult. So that was another point. That's another point why he wrote this book, to actually make it interesting, to make it easy and interesting, to actually make it easy. Interesting part I'll bring later. To make it very easy, he wrote this book. The first point was to summarize, to make a summary, essence. The second point is why he chose to write this book, to make book easy in language, because language of Rupa Goswami's Sanskrit language is very difficult, very terse, with difficult words he uses, and also he uses ornaments in his language, alankar. It's very difficult to interpret. But you see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sanskrit, very easy, even a child can understand. He also uses alankar, he also uses ornaments, but in a very easy way. So that was the second reason why he chose to write this book, so that people can easily understand, and then they are prepared to read Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Devotion. Okay. And the third point why he chose to write this book is to fight. That was one big reason. All his books, I mean to say, you see, to understand this point you have to go in a historical background. At the time of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what was happening was, I told in previous lecture, everybody was simply an enemy of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Almost everybody. Sahijyas, caste Goswamis, people who are following religion, Sanatan Dharmis, so-called Sanatan Dharmis, in quotations. And then and then of course people from other sampradayas, for example Ramanandis, they were also against Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he was surrounded by enemies because he was fighting with them. He was fighting with their wrong concepts. He was smashing their wrong concepts. So this book was especially written to actually people who were reading Rupa Goswami's books. They were actually misinterpreting that message and then propagating it. So to set Rupa Goswami's message as it is, to bring the message back on the bona fide highway, as Rupa Goswami wanted, a book had to be written. And so I'll give you an example for that. In his book, Rupa Goswami has discussed Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Now back then there was a big controversy between Vaidhi and Raganuga Bhakti. Even still that controversy continues. Many people say that Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says you can attain Krishna only by Raganuga Bhakti. You cannot attain Krishna through Vaidhi Bhakti. So people were practicing Raganuga Bhakti, they were not practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, because Vaidhi Bhakti is according to scriptures. Through scriptures you cannot attain Krishna. There should be spontaneous flow of love. That was the idea there. There was another idea, you first take Guru who follows Vaidhi Bhakti, and then you have to take another Guru, leave him, who is following Raganuga Bhakti to attain Krishna. So there were many stupid ideas back then. But Vishwanath Thakur, when you read, it's a very small, I told you, this book is just having paragraphs. If you read 2 paragraphs on Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, 2 or 3, 1 paragraph Vaidhi Bhakti, 2, 3 paragraphs on Raganuga Bhakti, you will see he's smashing those concepts. How? He's saying Vaidhi Bhakti, he defines Vaidhi Bhakti as Shastra Sashan Bhayena. Vaidhi Bhakti means that Bhakti where person follows rules and regulations. Why he follows rules and regulations? That's the point. Vaidhi Bhakti is not that he is following rules and regulations, and Raganuga Bhakti is not that he is not following rules and regulations. It's a wrong concept. He is counteracting is. He is saying Vaidhi Bhakti is Bhakti where people are following rules and regulations, Shastra Sashan Bhayena, out of fear. And Raganuga Bhakti is people are still following rules and regulations. Bhav Prapti Upay Jigyasa Shastra Peksha Bhavet. He says still they are following rules and regulations, but not out of fear of offenses, or fear of not following and fear of sins, but because they understand that these rules and regulations will help us to attain love of God. These rules and regulations will help us to actually condense our spontaneous attraction for Krishna, the lobh and the rag, into bhava and prema. So you see the point there. Even Raganuga Bhakti, they are following rules and regulations. Vaidhi Bhakti also, it's not that Vaidhi Bhakti they follow, Raganuga they don't follow. This is a very common misconception. Because people say in Raganuga Bhakti, if you follow rules and regulations, it will obstruct your flow of love. Absolute wrong. He says no. In Vaidhi Bhakti there is fear. Out of fear he is following rules and regulations, that if I don't follow, I'll do an offense, like at a sin. But Raganuga Bhakti he is following not out of fear, but out of a desire to condense his spontaneous attraction into love and bhava. You see, this is how he's actually, that's why he chose to write very important points, and so in a way that he actually smashes all the misconceptions about Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Okay, what about the rest of the details? Read Bhakti Rasana Sindhu. Simple. He's not trying to replace Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He's trying to give an essence, the real, the Shuddha essence of that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So in a sense he is doing service to Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, by writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. It's not a replacement. You should always understand. It's probably a supplementary book. You read it and then go ahead. Or maybe complementary book, whatever. These terms are confusing, complementary, supplementary. It's an addition. Read this and go forward. Okay, and the third point why he chose to write this book is because he's giving a commentary on Rupa Goswami's chosen verses. I told you he chose 8 verses and some portions of Bhaktivinoda Sindhu and 8 verses, and then he's writing his own commentary on that. He's giving an insight into the most important verses of Rupa Goswami, which will be very helpful for us to advance in devotion and to grasp the essence. So if you read his commentary, he is giving his own realizations there. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Like for example, when he defines Uttama Bhakti, Rupa Goswami writes Uttama Bhakti definition as Anyavilashita Shunyam Gyan Karma Adhyanavritam Anukulena Krishnanochilanam Bhaktiruttama. Now Vishwanath Thakur writes a commentary and he says Anya Avilash Shunyam Gyan Karmadi Anya Avilash Gyan Karmadi Rahitam Krishna Uddeshya Anukulena काय मनो वाचो भी क्रिया सा भक्ति. So he adds one word there, kriya, which is actually Shilanam in Rupa Goswami's word, Anushilanam there, that means kriya, but he uses this word kriya especially, which actually makes it very clear that devotion, kriya sa bhakti. Just in the end he puts kriya sa bhakti. What is bhakti? Kriya, action. Bhakti means action. Bhakti doesn't mean sitting, meditating. Srila Prabhupada also writes in his Nectar of Devotion, bhakti means activity. He makes it clear, action through words, mind where you have desire to do that action, and body. So bhakti doesn't mean sitting like in samadhi, doing nothing, or being sentimental, just weeping in front of Krishna. No, it is action. Very important point there. So this is his realization. Although it is mentioned in Rupa Goswami's verse in the form of Shilanam, but he puts it right on the point explicitly, kriya. He uses the word kriya. It's action. That's all, finish. Don't just sit in Radha Kund and keep on weeping whole day. Do something for Krishna. That's what Prabhupada said. Unlike Jnanis, yogis who believe in inaction, we believe in action. And unlike karmis who believe in action for some reward, we believe in action without any reward. That is by action, and that is his realization on Rupa Goswami's verses. So these are the 4 main points, not 3, actually 4 main points why he chose to write this book. He wants to summarize, and he wants to make it easy in language, and he wants to destroy misconceptions, and 4th is he wants to write a commentary and give insights. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.